Every story has an ending, but some endings are only the beginning. Imagine Los Angeles at night, the city alive with lights, cars rushing by, and dreams waiting to be claimed. In the middle of it all, a woman walks with quiet confidence, carrying memories of a love that once changed her life. Years have passed, but the heart never forgets. And now, destiny is ready to write another chapter, one filled with new faces, new choices, and the same question: can love and freedom truly live together? The streets of Beverly Hills shimmer under the glow of neon signs, a reminder of how the city never sleeps. In this place, where luxury lives side by side with heartbreak, Vivian Ward has built a life that is both admired and envied. She is no longer the woman who once stood on a street corner waiting for a miracle. She is now a figure of elegance, respected, and yet still searching for something more. Success has surrounded her, but behind the polished smiles and graceful steps, her eyes still carry the weight of choices made long ago. Her world feels complete on the surface: dinners with powerful friends, magazine covers celebrating her success, and a home that overlooks the glowing skyline. But when the night is quiet, when the cameras fade, she still remembers the woman she once was. That woman taught her how to fight for herself, how to believe in love, and how to step into a world that never believed she belonged. And while the years have given her power, they have also left her asking if true happiness was something she ever truly held. Then the story shifts. A new character steps into the picture, full of energy and ambition. She is young, fierce, and fearless, chasing her dream in the same city that once tested Vivian. She looks at the lights, not with nostalgia, but with hunger. For her, Los Angeles is not a memory, it is a battlefield. She is ready to win. She walks into rooms with a spark that cannot be ignored, a spirit that dares to shine even when the odds are against her. She is different from Vivian, yet in her eyes, there is a familiar fire, one that echoes the same journey of survival and hope. The two women cross paths, not by accident, but by the invisible thread of fate that ties dreamers together. Vivian sees herself in the younger woman, but she also sees the dangers ahead: the traps of love, the temptation of power, and the cost of choosing freedom. She feels the pull to guide her, to share the wisdom she has learned, but also knows that every dream must be tested in its own way. The city that once shaped Vivian is now ready to shape another, and this time, the stakes are even higher. In the rhythm of their stories lies the promise of something greater. Two women, two eras, bound by ambition and the courage to chase love in a world that never gives it freely. Their paths will not be easy, but neither of them was ever meant to live an easy life. This is where the next chapter begins, where the past and present collide, and where the legend of Pretty Woman finds its voice once more. The morning sun rises over Los Angeles, spilling gold across glass towers and the wide, busy streets below. In that light, the city seems softer, but underneath the shine, the pulse of ambition beats louder than ever. It is here that the younger woman, bright-eyed and determined, begins to carve her place. Her name is whispered in news circles, houses, music studios, gala halls, wherever possibility feels electric. She is not waiting for the city to notice her. She is demanding it, with every step that carries her forward. Her charm is magnetic, her ambition unstoppable. And in her eyes lives the same defiance that once burned inside Vivian. The world looks at her as the future, yet every future comes with shadows. Behind every smile lies doubt, behind every opportunity lies a test. She knows the city can give, but she also knows it can take. Still, her heart refuses to bow. She believes in love, believes in freedom, believes that she can have both without compromise. And when she steps out of a sleek car onto the marble floors of a luxury event, she does not just enter a room, she takes it. Cameras flash, voices rise, and for a moment, it feels like she has already won. But the truth is, her battle has just begun. Vivian watches from a distance, her heart pulled in two directions. She sees herself reflected in the young woman's fire, but she also feels a chill of fear. She remembers the choices she once made, the ones that lifted her and the ones that nearly destroyed her. She remembers how love was both her salvation and her risk, and in this rising star, she sees both promise and danger. Part of her wants to protect, to warn, to shield. But another part knows the truth: every woman must write her own chapter, no matter how painful the ink. Their lives begin to intertwine in subtle ways. A glance across a crowded gala, a conversation that feels both casual and fated, a moment where advice is given and ignored. Vivian speaks with grace, her voice calm and measured, but beneath her words lies a storm of memory. The younger woman listens, but her pride is too fierce to bow fully. She believes her path will be different. She believes she can outsmart the city's tricks. She believes love can be pure in a world built on power. And Vivian, though wiser, cannot take away that belief. She knows belief is the very thing that carries dreamers forward, even into heartbreak. The city begins to test the younger woman quickly. Opportunities come wrapped in silk but lined with chains. Offers sparkle with promise but drip with hidden costs. She feels the pull of fame, the rush of attention, the weight of expectation. Yet her heart keeps returning to one truth. She wants love that is real, not borrowed, not bought, not dressed in diamonds. She wants freedom, but not the kind that leaves her alone in the dark. She wants both, and the world whispers that she cannot have both. Still, she fights. And in her fight, Vivian feels herself drawn closer, not as a rival but as a witness. Watching her is like watching her own story played on repeat, but with sharper edges, higher stakes, and an ending still unwritten. The city is louder now than it was when Vivian first walked its streets. It demands more, it burns faster, and it leaves scars that do not fade easily. Vivian knows this, but she also knows that the younger woman carries something Rian's unwillingness to surrender. As their connection deepens, so too does the tension. To women, to timelines, to hearts shaped by the same city but chasing different futures. Vivian wonders if guiding her will heal her own past, or if it will reopen wounds she thought had long closed. The younger woman wonders if listening will keep her safe, or if it will weaken the fire that drives her. Neither fully knows the answer, and perhaps that is what makes their bond both fragile and unbreakable. By nightfall, Los Angeles glows again, alive with secrets, laughter, and promises. The young woman stands on a rooftop, looking out at the endless city, her reflection shimmering in the glass. Somewhere far below, Vivian does the same, her own gaze set on the same horizon. Two women, one skyline, and a question that lingers. Between them like the night air, how far will they go for love, and how much will they risk for freedom? The city does not hand out mercy, it demands payment for every dream it sells. For the younger woman, the first cost arrives like a storm without warning. The night begins with celebration, flashing lights, velvet gowns, laughter that echoes through grand halls. She feels untouchable, as if the whole world has bent to her will. But just beyond the champagne bubbles and soft music, betrayal waits in silence. A whispered deal behind her back, a smile that hides a lie, a promise broken before it even had time to breathe. In a single evening, she learns that not every hand that lifts you higher intends to keep you safe. Her first heartbreak is not only about love, it is about trust. The man she thought saw her heart only saw her shine. His affection was sweet but hollow, a mirror meant to flatter, not to reflect. When the truth surfaces, it cuts deep. She feels the sting of humiliation, the ache of hope stolen too soon, the weight of realizing that love can turn sharp when mixed with power. She walks away from the glittering ballroom that night with tears disguised as rain, her heels clicking against empty streets, each step heavier than the last. Vivian watches quietly from the shadows of her own memory. She knows this pain, it is the kind of wound that does not heal quickly, the kind that lingers in the chest like an echo. She wants to reach out, to hold her, to say the words she once needed to hear, but she also knows the danger of too much comfort. Pain, as cruel as it is, teaches lessons no advice can replace. So she remains at a distance, her eyes soft, her heart heavy, her silence both an act of love and restraint. The younger woman's fire dims for the first time. The city that once looked like a canvas now feels like a cage. Everywhere she turns, she sees reminders of failure, magazines filled with smiles that feel faker than ever. Streets crowded with faces that do not care. Her reflection feels unfamiliar, as if the bright spark she carried has been stolen. Doubt creeps in. Maybe she asked for too much. Maybe love and freedom cannot live together. Maybe she is destined to repeat the stories of every woman before her, caught between ambition and heartache. But just as the darkness threatens to close in, Vivian steps closer, not with grand speeches or easy answers, but with presence. A quiet meeting in a small cafe, away from the city's noise. A conversation laced with unspoken truths. Vivian does not tell her it will be easy, she tells her it will be worth it. She speaks of choices, of resilience, of the power to decide how her story will be written. And for the first time, the younger woman sees her not as a distant legend, but as a survivor who still carries scars. Their bond deepens, forged not in glamour but in honesty. They share laughter that feels like relief, tears that feel like release. and a growing understanding that their stories are not separate, they are threads in the same tapestry. The younger woman begins to rise again, slower this time, steadier, with a new layer of strength. She still believes in love, but she begins to understand that love must meet her on her terms. She still believes in freedom, but she knows it is not given, it is claimed, and yet, even as she rebuilds, the city prepares its next test. Rumors stir, opportunities dangle like bait, and shadows whisper promises too sweet to ignore. Vivian feels the shift, the dangerous pull of history threatening to repeat itself. She wonders if her guidance will be enough, or if the younger woman will have to face the same fire she once did, burned, but reborn. On a quiet night, the two women stand side by side, overlooking the city skyline. The younger woman's voice trembles but does not break. "What if I'm not strong enough?" Vivian's reply is simple, but it carries the weight of a lifetime. "You already are. You just don't believe it yet." And with those words, the chapter closes not in defeat, but in the promise of a rise. Because every fall is only a setup for the next climb. And the City of Angels, cruel as it may be, still rewards those who refuse to kneel. The city is louder now. Nights hum with the restless energy of dreams colliding, crashing, and sparking in every direction. It feels alive, but also dangerous, like a flame that gives warmth, yet threatens to burn. The younger woman, scarred but not broken, moves through this world with sharper eyes. Her fire has returned, no longer naive, no longer untamed, but forged into something resilient. She carries herself with the grace of someone who has known loss and still dares to hope. Every step is a choice, every glance a statement, every word a defiance against the city that tried to claim her soul. But destiny never allows the climb to be easy. The chance she has long waited for arrives suddenly, glittering in front of her like a crown. A grand opportunity bigger than anything she imagined sits within reach. Yet with it comes temptation, pressure, and the silent demand to give up the very freedom she has fought to protect. Behind the flashing cameras and contracts written in gold lies a dangerous truth. Success can be its own cage. The city offers her everything, but at the cost of her voice, her independence, her heart. Vivian feels the weight of it too. Watching her stand at this crossroads stirs the ache of old wounds. She remembers the times she almost gave herself away, the nights when love seemed like a fair trade for freedom, the mornings when power felt heavier than chains. She sees the younger woman surrounded by people who call themselves allies but wait for her to stumble. She sees the danger of choosing comfort over conviction, and though Vivian is older, wiser, and tempered by time, she knows that the decision cannot be hers to make. The younger woman must decide if she will let the city define her or if she will define herself. Tension rises like a storm cloud. The younger woman faces betrayal once more, but this time she does not break. She confronts it, fierce and unyielding, her words sharp enough to cut through false smiles. She rejects the easy path, the one paved with empty promises. She chooses instead the harder road, the one that risks loneliness, the one that demands strength. And in that choice, she becomes something more than a dreamer. She becomes her own story. Their bond reaches its peak in this moment. Vivian stands beside her, not as a guide anymore, but as an equal. For the first time, the two women see each other clearly, not as past and future, not as teacher and student, but as mirrors reflecting the same courage. Vivian realizes that helping the younger woman was never about saving her. It was about reminding herself that strength is not lost with age. The younger woman realizes that Vivian's wisdom is not a warning to fear, but a light to carry forward. Together, they are proof that stories never end, they evolve. The city, once cruel and unforgiving, now feels like something else. Still dangerous, still wild, but no longer a master. It is a stage. And on that stage, two women stand, both scarred, both shining, both unafraid. The younger woman is ready to rise into her future, her heart open yet guarded, her ambition fierce yet grounded. Vivian is ready to step into peace, not as someone who has lost her place, but as someone who has found her legacy. As the night deepens, the two stand overlooking the skyline once more. The lights below flicker like stars, and the city breathes beneath them. The younger woman smiles, her voice steady. "It's not about being chosen. It's about choosing myself." Vivian nods, her eyes soft, her heart full. For the first time in years, she feels the weight of the past lift, replaced by something lighter, hope. The story closes not with an ending, but with the beginning. The younger woman walks forward into the glow of the city, not to be saved, not to be defined, but to write her own story. Vivian watches with quiet pride, her own chapter complete, her spirit unshaken. And in the silence that follows, Los Angeles itself seems to whisper, The fairy tale continues, but this time, the woman writes her own ending.